in collaboration with Area 41 D18, District 18, USC. I, Toastmaster Vamsi, being Sergeant at Arms for today's meeting, it is my pleasure and I am pretty much excited to be the first speaker in today's meeting. Let me start by stating the Toastmaster mission. The mission of Toastmasters or Toastmasters Club, I would say, is to provide a positive and support to learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. We at Toastmasters do not speak about three topics in our speeches in a demeaning way: politics, sex, and religion. As this is online meeting, which is virtual, there are few ground rules you need to know. I request everyone in the meeting, please turn on the video if possible. If you have any questions or you want to ask or you want to talk, please use raise a hand option. For thumbs up, you can use the reaction feature which is at the bottom of the toolbar. If you are having any technical issues, you can drop off and connect again. But when you connect, please be on. I request everyone to please keep your mobiles and noise making devices on mute during the meeting. I will give you 10 seconds to do so. Thank you. With a huge round of applause, let us welcome our energetic Area Director of Area 4, District 98, District 18, USA, and the President of Bibawadi Toastmasters Club, Saurav Gandhi. Over to you, Toastmaster Saurav.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vamsi, for that wonderful introduction. So, meeting was started by someone today who is a manager and who is a manager, an assistant professor, a software developer. He is a master chef. Most importantly, he is our VP Education and an area director of G3 District 98. He has completed 3 parts in till now. He has completed third part in 1 month and achieved a milestone of 50 speeches in 1 year. Toastmaster Vamsi has the nickname of a happy mentor. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vamsi. Good morning to all the US people and good evening to all the Indian people. It is indeed a great pleasure to have you all here as a joint meeting. This is our first initiative between the Area 41, District 18, United States of America, and Bibawadi Toastmasters Club, District 98, India. Thank you, DTM Dave, for coming today. And DTM Dave will be giving an educational session today on a humorous speech. Thank you, Dave, for coming and accepting my request. We at Bibawadi Club have a very enthusiastic members filled with it. Recently, we have achieved 8 DCP points, and that too in just 71 days. That is most commendable, I would like to say, which we have not received in last 4 years. We are now eligible for the Select Distinguished Award by the Toastmasters International World Headquarters, USC. Also, I would like to appreciate Toastmaster Heshma, our VP membership. She has added 16 members in just past 2 months. 2 months and 16 members. That is an incredible job. That is because of the quality we have at Bibawadi Toastmasters Club. If you would like to know more, you can contact her. The details are displayed on my screen. Now, I would like to invite someone who believes that a humor is a vital part of a public speaking. He feels that a humor is appropriate for almost every occasion and can be an important way to connect with the audience. Today, he will share some thoughts about the humor and how you can use humor. Please help me welcome, with a huge round of applause, distinguished Toastmaster and world champion of public speaking, Dave Ross, DTM.
Thank you so very much for that kind introduction. Of course, it's one that I wrote, but I'm here to talk to you about humor. So excuse me. Wait a second. I dropped something. What'd you drop? I dropped my mouse. What are you doing here? Well, I thought I'd help you. You can't help me. These are Toastmasters. Toastmasters? Yes, they're Toastmasters, and they don't need your help. They don't need my help. They don't need. Okay. I'll tell you what. Maybe later you can come back. Okay, if you promise to behave. Okay, I'll be good. Bye, Toastmasters. I'll see you later. Oh, you dropped something. I dropped something. Oh, excuse me. Go get it. Okay. Well, while he's gone, I'll tell you. Dave is really old. He's so old. Please stop. No age jokes. I thought that wasn't we could talk about anything at Toastmasters. Not age, not my age. I'm sensitive to that. That means he's really old. Okay, you can go now. Oh, okay. Oh, bye. See you later. Thank you. Bye. All right. I'm here, of course, to present a very serious talk about humor. According to Wikipedia, humor is the tendency of experiences to provoke laughter and provide amusement. The term derives from the humoral medicine of the ancient Greeks, which taught that the balance of fluids in the human body, known as humors, were controlled by human health and emotion. Therefore, the unique juxtaposition of odd and unusual things, sudden changes to make us laugh. Ha ha, humor. So what we're going to do is carefully and in painstaking detail dissect how to be humorous when we speak. First of all, we must approach this from a very serious frame point, a very serious point of view. Oh, that's boring. That's so horrible. That's boring. Oh, what's your problem? Well, I think it's boring. That's not very nice. Neither is listening to you go on about humor. Oh, that wasn't nice. Oh, my ears. Okay, thank you very much. Well, why don't you just, okay. All right, wait, all right. Okay, what would you tell me about humor? Oh, yes, thank you very much. Now, you can leave. All right, he's going to now tell you some important things. Maybe not, but hey, be polite. He's an old man. All right, there are some things to think about humor. For instance, try to know your audience. Now, because I know this is in India, I know that cricket is very important in India. So I happen to have a cricket here. And I don't know why cricket's important in India, but that's the wrong cricket. And that's not a cricket, that's a grasshopper. Oh, we'll see. Okay, I'll get it. I don't have a cricket, I have a grasshopper. Oh, goodness. Well, what were you going to say? All right, well, there once was a cricket who, that's the wrong type of cricket. What do you mean? It's a sport. It's a sport. You play with crickets in India? Oh, goodness. I give up on him. All right. Okay, I was making a little joke. So humor can sometimes be used as a way of bridging, of connecting to an audience. So I did some research on crickets. And obviously, I looked at the wrong type of crickets, but I found some jokes. Now, this will be instructional as I tell these jokes. For instance, I drive my car like I play cricket. I hit and run. I lost the American audience, and the Indian audience said, oh, that old joke. Okay, here's another one. What does a cricket umpire say while practicing in front of the mirror? I'll show myself out. All right, well, enough of that. Let's talk seriously about humor. And let me share my screen. Okay, there we go. First of all, I have nothing to say here, so you can see nothing. I knew that would work. All right, first, know the rules. There are rules for humor. the first and most important rule is humor is almost always appropriate for any speech. Almost always. Almost always. Now, there are times where it can be very sad and very serious, but yet you can put humor into the story. Let me share a story with you as I stop sharing my screen. Here's the story. And it's a true story. It's about two heroes in my life, a husband and wife. The husband was in a very high-powered job, making a lot of money, and his job required him to travel a lot. As a result, he wasn't spending much time with his family. So he decided to take a job where he could spend time with his family. And as a result of that, he became the cornerstone, not only for his family, but for our community of kids. He was in every activity of all the kids. I saw him in band and scouting and baseball, which is like cricket for Americans. I saw him everywhere. And for years, they started a foundation where they supported children in their causes, in their activities. It became a huge organization. He and his wife touched the lives of hundreds of children in my hometown. And their love story was so beautiful because they were always doing things together. Family was the number one goal in their lives. And as the years went on and they became very old, Mr. Gurry became very ill and was about to pass away. Mrs. Gurry was distressed because that was her best friend, and her children were worried, what would she do once he was gone? But oddly enough, this love affair lasted exactly their entire life. Mr. Gurry died in the morning, peacefully in his sleep. Mrs. Gurry died that same day in the afternoon. But then again, she was always late. So there was a little bit of humor in the story. What the humor did was it allowed the audience to both feel the pain and know the joy of their life. So humor can be used as a way of carrying the story further, as making it something beyond just a joke and make the joke something of value. So let's go back to my slideshow. Okay, there we go. The next rule is, again, make sure your humor is appropriate. As we were told early, some 3 areas not to discuss in Toastmasters, which is very good. Make that 4 or 5 areas sometimes in humor, and I'll add to the other areas. One is, don't make it a negative humor. Don't make it something that puts anyone down. And if you do have humor that puts someone down, make sure it's you. Put yourself down. But try to be uplifting. Make sure it connects to the story and it's not just put there for a laugh. Occasionally, you'll think, gee, I need a joke for this speech, and you just put the joke in there. Well, that doesn't advance the story. That doesn't add to creativity or the development of the message. In my world championship speech, oh, there he goes again. My world championship speech, I talked about how comparing ourselves to others was not a positive thing. It's not me better than you or you better than me. After all, she has more talent than I have. He's smarter than I am. And he's far better looking than I am. Well, maybe he's not better looking, but anyway, you get the point. All right, the joke was designed, again, to provide a break from a more serious moment, but it advanced the story. So it has to connect to the story. It has to be valuable to enhance it. It has to allow a progression that you can see, and it adds color to your message. It makes things real. Now, sharing a story that enhances the message, that advances the story is important. But it can also do something else. It can also take a very serious subject and allow people to think of it in a lighter tone. Let's go back to the screen again. But you have to know your audience. Who are these people? What do they know? Again, talking about crickets versus the cricket game shows an inability to know the audience or to study the material a little bit deeper. Oops. There we go. But understanding how the audience is very diverse also gives another challenge. So I was talking about cricket matches, and I was talking to the Indians in the audience. However, half of this audience are Americans like me. And most of us, almost all Americans, are totally clueless about cricket. So making that part of the joke allows the Americans to enjoy the message. Having a sudden change and a little bit of confusion, changing direction rapidly. The story I told earlier about the wife going in the afternoon. By the way, that is a totally true story. And then she was always late. Well, that is also totally true too. It allowed the humor to advance the story and then connect with the story, and more importantly, connect with the audience. It allows someone through tears to connect and make a statement. I don't know if you heard some of the discussion early on at the beginning of the meeting, but I was in the Air Force. As a small child, I wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force. I wanted to fly. And I went to pilot training. This was my dream come true. But I had a little problem with one of my instructor pilots in pilot training. Things didn't quite work the way they should have worked, I think, because I wanted to fly the plane my way. And my instructor pilot wanted me to fly planes correctly. So evidently, the Air Force thought it would be safer if I didn't fly the plane itself, but I could work on the plane. I could fly in the plane, but not fly it. Now, I saw some of you, you were laughing at that very sad story I told you. And I'm just shocked. Shocked that you would find it. I thought it was hilarious. And much safer too. My goodness, I can't imagine you flying. Thank you. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. You can leave now. All right. But anyway, it gave you permission to see the healing, and it gave you permission to laugh. I have a friend who's had his legs amputated. He started a speech about things that you should not do. For instance, do not get out of bed the day after the amputation and forget you no longer have legs. Well, this is a very difficult thing. And he knew it would be difficult for the audience. He said, it's okay, you can laugh, because I did as I fell over on the floor. I thought it was very funny. It takes a tragedy and it makes it something different. So humor not only empowers the audience, connects the story, adds color and change, but it empowers the speaker to overcome the past. So if you have a difficult subject, I again encourage you to use humor. Humor gives more of the story. Now, I realize that some of you may not be able to see that little goldfish in the corner. It depends on where you have your little screen of people, but there's little goldfish. This is only part of the story. Well, what's the rest of the story? And the goldfish is somewhere in midair. But wait a second. When you see part of the hand, again, that's only part of the story. The rest of the story is this. Here is the joke. The goldfish was in the glass of water which this woman was about to drink. She threw the water and liberated the goldfish. The goldfish was very happy as it fell into the commode, and swam to freedom. So those are some basic rules. And this is the final and most important rule. First, learn the rules, then break them. But break them with a purpose. And the purpose is always in Toastmasters is to connect with the audience, to tell the audience something that will enlighten them and entertain them, encourage them, inform them, allow you to have a message that can connect with people in a way that makes them thankful for listening to you. Now, there's one other type of story that's a lot of fun. And again, it's those true stories from our childhood or our life that are so much funny. I'm sorry, so much funnier. Is the grammarian listening? So much funnier as we go farther away from it in time. A big holiday in the United States, Christmas and New Year's, a great holiday season. This is a time that parents really hope that they get through the vacation time and don't kill their children. That's the big thing about Christmas, because children tend to go crazy. They can't wait for Christmas. There's Christmas presents, and then they don't have school until sometime after New Year as they play with their presents, run around, and make a lot of noise. Here is my Christmas story. Christmas is also a family time, and we were at our grandmother's house, my brother and I and my mother, for the holiday season. My grandmother had this beautiful living room. It was all white. The curtains were white, the walls were white, and in the corner was a fireplace. The fireplace, of course, according to Christmas lore, that's where Santa Claus comes down the fireplace, down the chimney, comes out the fireplace and puts presents under the Christmas tree for all the good little children. Well, this Christmas, we fooled Santa again. He thought we were good little children and he brought us presents. My grandmother said, well, I'm going to be gone for the weekend, for the New Year's weekend. And my brother and I were left in my grandmother's house to enjoy our Christmas presents. My mother was cleaning up all the Christmas mess. Christmas mess in Sacramento, California included a can of snow. Now, you may not know what a can of snow is because maybe you have actual snow in your life, but in California, where I lived, it was too hot. We never had snow. And Christmas, you're always supposed to, you think of snow and Santa Claus and North Pole. So everybody got these cans of fake snow that they sprayed on their Christmas tree. They sprayed on their windows to make it look like it's snow. Aerosol cans. Now, aerosol cans are very special because you should never, ever, ever put them in a fire. My brother and I helped clean up. We got some of the wrapping from the Christmas paper and some of the decorations down and getting my grandmother's house back the way it should be, all white and nice. Put the trash in some bags, and my mother got all the wrappings and stuff in bags and put them in the fireplace to burn them. Now you see where this story is going, don't you? Fireplace, aerosol can, should not be placed in the fireplace. All right, now here's where the elements get really fun, because my brother and I used to play a game that, I don't know, some brothers play. We called it Hit Me. So if you could hit your brother and he did not see you hitting him, then you say, well, it wasn't me, even though you knew it was. But if he saw you hit you, if he saw you hit him, he could hit you 10 times. So you had to be very careful and very casual about it. Kind of get close, kind of get far away, watch each other. And then, so I hit my brother, he didn't catch me. And I knew he was going to try to catch me and hit me. So I was watching him, always watching him. And he would just yawn. See, I can see you. So we're going around, and I'm expecting him to hit me to retaliate for my blow the previous time. The trash is in the fireplace, and somewhere in that bag is this aerosol can. Fire can bag. My mother is back in my grandmother's room talking on the phone to my aunt. And they're talking about this and that and this and that. I'm waiting for my brother to hit me. Now, previously, my mother said, be quiet. You guys have been too noisy. I don't want to hear a word out of you. So now we have to play hit me and be silent. All of a sudden, the aerosol can in the fireplace explodes, and soot and ash flies out of the fireplace. It's a loud boom. I hear the loud boom, and all I can think of is my brother did something to hit me. And I yell, Daryl! And then I see all this stuff floating around this white room, all this soot, ash, and debris floating around the room. And I look at it, I look at my brother, and we go, wow. And we want to laugh. We go, but we don't want to laugh because our mother will hear us. All my mother heard was, boom, Daryl! She thinks one of her sons has blown up and the other one is shocked about it. And she very calmly says, which is her way of saying, are you okay? Which really sounded very funny to my brother and me. But we know if we laugh, we're going to get in trouble. So we can't laugh. We're trying to answer. We're going, and she's panicking. She drops the phone and she runs. What's going on? What's going on? And sees the soot, the ash, everything floating all around this room that used to be all white. All white. All the curtains now have soot and ash and dirt. Ah! And she doesn't know what to say. She wants to kill us, but she's glad we're not dead yet. So, and my brother and I see my mother panicking, going through all of this, and we want to laugh so badly. Tears are coming down out of our eyes. We know if we laugh, we'll get in trouble. And we're going to tears are coming down. My mother mistakes that for fear. She thinks that we're afraid that we heard the explosion. And she's panicking even more. But she's trying to calm us down. And we want to laugh even more because we know it's not a problem. Well, it's so much funnier now than back then when suddenly we started laughing and my mother got mad. That's not funny. This is not funny, which was funnier that we could take it. So that's my Christmas story. Everybody has a Christmas story. Something that happened. You went somewhere as a child, or your children did something, or maybe your boss said something, or maybe you had a disappointment like I had that years later you could laugh about. Everybody has a story. And the thing is for all of us to find our stories and make them real. Make them something that empowers us to laugh, gives us something that empowers the audience to connect with us, give us something that advances the story and makes it even richer than just your speech alone. So here's what we are going to do. We are going to take about much longer than you have to prepare for table topics, about 2 or 3 minutes to think of a story. And if we can then have somebody raise their hand, and share the story. So can I have about 2 minutes? 2 minutes? Okay. All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Somebody think of a personal story, something in your life, maybe something that was sad that now with time you can laugh at. Maybe something that was just very funny in your experience. I know this is hard, but I know you can do it. Okay, does someone want to raise their hand as our first volunteer to share?
Hey, don't all rush at once to volunteer. I know it's difficult. Stampede.
Yeah,
Nora
Nora has.
Wade.
Right, we
Nora
have
has
some,
raised.
we have one. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I have a confession to make. I was a naughty child, always getting into trouble without thinking about it. I just rushed headlong into it. When I was a little girl, my parents had a boat, and we would often go out and sail upon the Potomac River. We had friends who also had a boat, and one day we were boating together, and I was invited along with my brother to ride in the friend's boat. It was an interesting boat. It had controls at the top and controls in the bottom. And my brother and my father's friend were up top steering the boat, slowly backing it into the dock. And I'm down in the bottom watching the controls move back and forth. And I suddenly was seized by an idea. What happens if I pull on this lever? And I did. And all of a sudden the boat goes and smack right into the dock. And a nice cracking sound was heard. And I looked over and there was a crack in the back of the boat. And all of a sudden I see my father come running and he's looking at me and I'm like, ah! And then I run and hide in our boat and I'm just crying and oh, is my father mad? But I told you up front, I was a naughty child. They should have expected this of me. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
I would like to add one more to the same story. Yeah. So once upon a time, roughly 18 years back, I was into the Kenya, Nairobi. And at that point of time, I was a very small young kid. For the first time, I went there as my father was transferred into Kenya, Nairobi. I have went for there for the vacation. There was one small whale at that time. So Kenya, around 18 years back, it was very unsecure. The thief used to come to your home. They used to come to your car's office. They used to take away all the materials. So it was very underdeveloped at that time, and the security was not good. There was one small bill in our house at that time, and I was unaware what will happen after pressing that bell. I have just pressed that bell to see what will happen. and just in a couple of minutes, it was the connection to that bail was directly to the police station. So in just less than 10 minutes, the police has arrived to our house. And at that time, point of time, there were no one at my home. My father went to the office. My brother was also somewhere out. So I and mother only, we two were there. And then there was a kiosk for both all that, and our landlord handled it well. So this was one of the funny story I could say. So I would suggest all never place any unknown things if you are not aware. Over to you.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Who else has one to share? Can we do one more? Just one more.
May I? Dave, this is Kanchan.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. So I have amazing funny stories because I have two monsters in house. One is 5 and one is 8. So the yelling, pranking mom you were talking about, that looks alike, I could resemble her. And the panicking, attacking mode, which is always on, is due to the monsters in the house, which pops in every meeting. So what I want to talk about is every day is a new day, and howsoever you plan, your kids will only misbehave when there is a new person in house. And whenever you train them for an hour and visit to somebody else's house, whatever you train goes in vain. So moms in the house, just forget it, let them be, because any which ways, it doesn't matter what you speak. They will only do what they feel is right. Over to you, Dave.
Oh gosh, it's so true. And I could hear them in the background too. Yes, and here's what we can do with all of those talks is we could talk about child rearing. All of those could be a serious speech about raising children, or a serious speech about hope. Who would have thought the woman who ruined a boat would one day become a responsible citizen? I'm assuming you are. Who would have thought that the person who called the police for no reason would one day become whatever? Who would have thought that a mother who wanted to kill her kids didn't and let them grow up? So, it's those things that allow us to provide a pivot point in the story and something to remember the story by. Here's some things that I think should be remembered of not to do. In addition, not to talk about subjects that you're not familiar with, not to talk about subjects that you, again, when you misread the audience, wrong type of cricket, not to laugh at your own jokes, although sometimes it's hard to do. That is a difficult thing for me to do at times. But by that, I mean, don't be the only one who finds the humor in your speech. Allow the audience to feel it. Here's a suggestion. When you tell a joke, allow time for the audience to get it and be very patient. Realize at the very beginning of this, I said, okay, we're waiting for someone to contribute. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And sooner or later, someone came forward, because an audience cannot stand silence. Even though it's hard for the speaker to stand silent, just wait them out. Sooner or later, they will laugh, even if they feel uncomfortable about the laughter. They will get to the point where they can see sound needs to be said somewhere, so I may as well laugh. So that's one thing to do as far as timing is concerned. Another important thing to do is to make sure in a live setting that you have complete eye connection with someone at the beginning of your joke, where you're saying that, where they're nodding their head and nodding back. And simulate that when we're meeting virtually. Find someone who has their camera on, connect with them, especially if they're a smiling face, connect with them and feel their response. An ideal speech is one in which everyone in the audience, whether there's 2 people or 200,000 people in the audience, feels as if they have had a conversation with the speaker. Not that they heard the speaker, but they've had a conversation. In other words, they feel that they've been listened to in a nonverbal manner. The head nods, the smiles, that the speaker has responded to the audience. And that is even more critical in making an effective, humorous speech. And notice I said an effective, humorous speech or speech with humor, because that's entirely different from a stand-up comedian. If you've ever watched some stand-up comedians, some of them would make horrible Toastmasters for a variety of reasons. Eye contact is off. They use a lot of filler words and all kinds of things that we as Toastmasters don't do, because we are not stand-up comedians. A stand-up comedian can be humorous within their world because we are observing it. It's like a play. A play is not a conversation. A stand-up comedian is not doing a conversation. A stand-up comedian is allowing you to look in their crazy little world for a little bit. Now we're kind of bridging that. We're letting you see in their crazy world, but we have a message beyond the crazy world. Even a humorous speech should have a message. It can be humorous. It can be why I did not put my kids in a box and send them to my grandmother. Why I did not join the Navy, because I ran my boat into. Why today the police all know me by my first day. It can be a humorous message, but there's a message in a humorous speech. And this is one of the things that, again, is one of my personal rules to a humorous speech. Now, again, always remember about any rule that anyone gives you, especially one of my rules, is that they should be obeyed in a detailed, devoted, persnickety manner. What's persnickety? Well, detailed. Why did you just said that? Well, use another word. Don't obey the rules. No, to break them. Break those rules. Break the rules. Yes, you said break the rules. Okay, yes, I'll have to agree. Sometimes you should break the rules. See, I told you. Okay. Yes, do not be bound by the rules, especially rules that I give you. Who am I? I'm just a speaker just like you. But if you break them, have a reason. For instance, you should never show violence in a speech. Ah! Unless you want to get rid of an annoying puppet. But find those reasons to break them. You might give a speech where you don't have any eye contact. And that could be the purpose of the speech. By the way, one of the best speakers I know has horrible eye contact. Stands in one place right behind the lectern all of the time. But what he does do, he has a beautiful voice, a brilliant and creative way of putting together a story that is mesmerizing. Well, did I mention that this speaker is blind? So he's not going to walk around on a stage. He's not going to have eye contact. But those are some of the rules that can be broken for a reason. Okay. So here's my homework for everyone, and then I'll answer questions if there are questions. My homework for everyone is carry around a little book. I'm supposed to have my little book. I don't know where it went. Okay. Anyway, carry around a little book with you for about a week or so. And anything funny that you see happening, wherever it is, whether it's on television, in your life, to somebody else, anything funny that you see that makes you laugh or joke you hear, write it down. Write it down. And that can be a resource that you can use for a speech. It can be a resource that you can use for a humorous speech. It can be a resource that you can use. Oh, yes. For instance, I used my little book. I tore up all the pages and stuffed it in his head. Ah! But it can be a resource that you could use. All right. Are there any questions for me?
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve, for that wonderful, insightful speech. Our audience is definitely going to have learned a lot of things from your wonderful educational session. I request everyone to put your questions in the chat. Well, I'm having a lot of questions already in the chat. I would take some of them.
Okay.
Others can continue posting. Yeah. So the one of the question is, what was the biggest challenge for you when preparing for the World Championship?
Okay, the biggest challenge, there are many challenges, but for me, the biggest challenge was actually getting there. Getting
Okay.
I was in the Air Force at the time, and it was at the end of the first Gulf War. We were flying, I deployed to Turkey because we were flying missions over northern Iraq. And the timing was good. I was due to come back a month before the competition. However, the world changes caused some problems. They had some American hostages that they released. They took the airplanes that were going to take us back home and had them take those hostages to a hospital. So I was stuck in Turkey, then I got stuck in Germany, but I finally made it back on time. There's a whole story to that. And by the way, it is kind of a funny story, but I'll save that for a later speech. But that was my biggest challenge personally, actually getting there. But the second biggest challenge was realizing how to take that big mountain, that big vision, and make it little steps, while still keeping in mind the big vision. This could happen, realizing that it was real, that it could happen. And I think for many Toastmasters, they think, oh, this is just too much. Anybody here who is not, or who wants to, has the same chance of becoming the world champion as anyone else. Anyone. It takes a lot of effort, the ability to learn and grow and change, and a lot of commitment. It was a toll. It was a toll.
So what difference do you see in 1991 when you were the world champion of public speaking, and currently in 2021, it is around 30 years down the line?
Well, the
The
first thing,
Toastmaster. Yeah.
he's 30 years. First of all, that's not entirely true. I was only 6 at the time I competed, although I look a lot older. But yeah, there have been a lot of changes. I think the biggest change, of course, is this. The woman who won this year noted that one of the things that helped her the most was traveling around the world with her speech to different Toastmasters clubs and getting feedback on how did the speech connect with different cultures, with different continents, with different people. And this is a tool I think everyone, if you're serious about competing, visit another club. But you guys know that already, visit other cultures and share. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest changes. The other thing is the way the speech is developed. There seems to be a period of time where it's all about the story, about what happened to me. This is my story, and this is where I'm going, and this is what I've learned, and you can learn and go get there too, which is fine. However, I do like more stories that talk about this is a story not where I'm the center of the story, but where the message is more the center of the story. That's just a personal preference because I'm
So
old.
you are still not old, trust me. No one in the room will say you're old. You're still very young.
Oh, thank you.
What
I'm
is the
glad to hear
best?
it.
Yeah, the next question is asked by someone. Is they say, what is the best advice you have received during your practice for World Championship?
Harold Patterson won the World Championship in 1987. He said that he entered a lot of speech contests and he would lose, or he would, but then he said, you know what? I didn't lose. I just didn't get the trophy. I won. He said, think about your speech, not to win the trophy, but to connect with at least one person in that audience. Make a connection with at least one person. And then it doesn't matter. Well, it matters, but it doesn't matter as much whether you get the trophy or not. You've connected with at least one person and you've made a change. And when I started thinking about that, and when I took his advice, that was when things totally changed for me, because I knew I was giving a message. And if I didn't win the trophy, if I didn't make it to the next level, hopefully I connected with at least one person in the audience and I gave them something of value.
Right. Thank you. I totally agree with you. Did you have defining moment in your Toastmasters journey? Another question is asked.
Well, a lot of the funniest moments tend to be the most embarrassing moments. And well, I was at a speech contest and I was last or next to the last speaker. I had a fairly light colored suit and I went out. I wanted to make sure my mouth wasn't dry, so I drank a lot. And subsequently, I had to. So the rules are that you can leave in between a speech, go to the restroom, and come back. As long as you leave during the moment of silence and come back, so there's no disruption to the speech. And I had to go. I had to leave. So someone spoke and I went out. Now, we were at a church and the water pressure at this church in the restroom was really high and it goes and sprays all over me. So now I'm all wet. I wasn't so bad, but I mean, you could see that I was wet. And so I'm getting paper towels and I'm trying to dry myself off. And I'm thinking, I do believe in divine intervention. And because I was at a church, it dried off. But I don't know what happened. Fortunately, I dried off in time. I walked in time. I gave the speech in time. My speech was on time and everything worked out well. Nobody knew about that until, well, now you all know about it, but nobody knew about it.
So the next question is, our budding Toastmasters would like to hear your advice in shaping their speeches about the humor speech, how to make the audience laugh. Like you have already given many insights on that, but if you can still throw some light on that, it will be really helpful for our wonderful audience.
Again, the notebook is a key thing.
Yeah.
And practice your jokes, your timing with that, how to tell a joke. Watch some comedians if you can, and see how they time their jokes, how they set them up. Analyze your audience to see what would work with the audience, what they might think is funny. I was in Memphis, Tennessee once. Actually, we were going to go, the plane was supposed to go to Chicago. The weather was bad in Chicago. They diverted our aircraft to Memphis, Tennessee. And this again was when I was in the Air Force. I had my sergeant with me and we're So we were going to a hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. This is the home of Elvis. We get in the last cab available. The cab driver says, look, I have a friend of mine. We're going to drive someplace. Do you mind my friend coming with you? I said, no, we don't mind. We just need to get to the hotel in Memphis. My sergeant makes a joke about Elvis in Memphis, Tennessee. I could feel there was a problem here with the cab driver and his friend. And his friend turns around, looks us both in the eye, says, we don't make jokes about Elvis here. Do you want to go where you want to go? Do you want to be let out here? I said to my sergeant, shut up. We're going to be sleeping in the streets and not make it to the hotel. The point is, know your audience, tell the joke that's appropriate, and realize that there can be cultural sensitivities that you would think nothing of saying someplace else. So practice your jokes in an appropriate audience, one that will understand and suggest changes rather than threaten your life. That's, I think, a good thing to remember.
Amazing, amazing. So there are various steps for going to a world championship, like from a club level to we have the area level, division level, the district level, regional level, and then the final step is world champion. So it covers around 10 to 12 different contests. So how do we, like, our some of the Toastmasters would like to know, how do they go from the club and furthermore? This would be our last question.
Okay, here's a suggestion. As again, this is just one person's thought on this. One is have some kind of a team. You really need at least two teams. A home team. You need your family to understand that you're going to spend a lot of time talking to yourself, and they're going to hear the same speech over and over again with modifications. And have a team with your club, a coach, maybe another, even a Toastmaster who may not be as advanced, but can give you some insight on how the audience looked at it after you win at the club level. Because the club level is just prepare your speech in advance, work on it. This is, if you're serious about this, you need to, it can't be, we've all done it. We've said, oh, I've got to give a speech today. What will I give? We've done it one or two a time. At the contest level, plan it in advance. Practice it. Get some feedback from your spouse, from your kids, from another Toastmaster. What do you think? What things am I doing that could be better? Assuming you win at the club, then you need to continue to work on your speech. Don't practice it so much that it becomes something rote that you just spit out the words and it doesn't make any sense, but practice it in a way to make it more interesting. Maybe there's a gesture you do that doesn't mean anything. Well, stop it, cut it out. Or some words. Do not fall in love with your words. Fall in love with your message. You want to make sure that you connect with your audience. And if someone says the way you say something is confusing the audience or they don't quite get it, be willing to make the changes and adaptations. Then compete. Assuming you win then, again, your team, your home team and your club team or your coach will help you enhance it for each succeeding level. And the final thing is just before the competition, relax. Don't calm down. Don't keep the energy up, but relax and realize that your goal is not to get a trophy, but your goal is to connect with someone in the audience, to tell them something of value that they can live a better life, even if just a tiny bit better, some hope, some happiness, some insight. And if you work on giving a valuable message, you will win every time. every time. You may not get the trophy, but you will win every time.
Thank you so much. I definitely think that all the members in this room, all the clubs in my area, and the Bibawadi Toastmasters Club will definitely get a lot of benefit from your wonderful educational session and the answers. Now, before now, I would like to ask DTM Kanchan to give vote of thanks. Before that, we would like to take the pictures. I request everyone to turn on your cameras. Let's have a quick picture. Yeah, so there are two pages, so you don't know on which page you are. Toastmaster Giri, Toastmaster Mohit. Request everyone to turn on your cameras. I'm waiting for more 5 seconds.
Oh, the cat.
Yeah, in 3, 2, 1. Here it goes. You don't know where you are, so stay in the same post. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. Now I would like to invite DTM Kanchan to give a vote of thanks to Dave DTM.
Thank you so very much, Toastmaster Saurabh. A leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And that is what we have seen and witnessed it. Thanks a ton, Dave, for being there as a leader who has gone the way, shown the way, and has helped us to learn it. Learning and leadership are indispensable to each other. And even today, I saw you learning from our examples. And that is what makes you a true leader, Dave. Indeed, an honor to witness it live. And I missed your live session when you were a world champion, but today got to know a better way because you have practiced it a lot. So thank you. And Bibawadi Toastmasters Club and the Toastmasters fraternity is honored to have leaders like you. So it was indeed a privilege to hear you live. So I would request you to keep visiting Bibawadi Club and various clubs in District 98 because yes, we need to learn from the people who have nailed it at the right time. Thank you everyone for having us here. And it was amazing question and answers from everyone. Good morning and a wonderful day for all the people who traveled all the way without a visa and a ticket. I don't know how did you manage that. But yes, for all the Indians, it was a free show and we Indians love free sales. So thank you, Saurabh, for getting it arranged for free for us. With that, it was really a great learning session. Over to you, Toastmaster
Hi.
Saurabh.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now
That's
I
very
would like to invite PQD, our PQD of District 18, Kathleen DTM, to say a few words.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for being here in this joint meeting of the minds and the countries. I love the representation. And as you can see by who is represented here, how different it is between cultures. And it's great to hear from someone who understands that culturally we have different types of humor. And Dave really brought that today. Thank you so much, Dave, for being here with us. And Saurabh and your team for having this idea. Love it. Hopefully we can continue to do this for the future and maybe make this a regular type of event where we can collaborate and get various people from across the miles to come and participate with us. So I appreciate each and every one of you in your different time zones. And I will hand it back over to Saurabh. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was indeed a great thing. Thank you for making and agreeing to me and having a joint between the area 41 district 18 USA and Bibawadi Toastmasters Club district 98 India. It was the first time in the history of Bibawadi Toastmasters Club where we have an inter-district event for the first time. Amazing. I have loved a lot, and your session has made our complete week ahead. Dave DTM, it was great to have you, sir, here today. It is indeed our great pleasure.
It was
Now,
my great honor. Thank you so much.
yeah, I would like to invite Lancy DTM to say a few words. Do we have him? Lancy, sir? DTM Lancy? I would like to invite Toastmaster Vikram to say a few words.
Thank you, Toastmaster Saurabh. Truly, Dave, this was a wonderful opportunity for us to hear and listen, especially because what happens is if you look amongst us, at least in Bibbiwadi Club, a lot of members are new. If you look amongst our District 98, it's only a few years old, maybe 6-7 years old. A lot of the people who come through, pass through, and they have a life cycle, 3-4 years. People will remember world champion speeches within the last 2-3 years, and that's about it. But to hear a speech from so many years ago, I mean, to have a world champion from that time period is something different. You are from a generation, and I really applaud it, which actually believed in using their voice and presence. Nowadays, if you ask me, a lot of our things are more of the gestures, rolling on the floor, changing a tire, getting up, lighting a cigarette, doing something, everything but the voice. So it is something nice. In our district, a few years ago, we had another gentleman, Jock Elliott. I don't know if you recall the gentleman. He, of course, his first time when he made an attempt at Toastmasters World Championship was 1990. You may have crossed paths with him. He, of course, did not win till 2011. So what I would like to tell everyone is go ahead and keep trying. Yes, I know Toastmasters has a rule that once you become a world champion, you can't go back again. I'm sure you must be missing that itch and that urge that I want to go back again and try. But yes, this is something, okay, you don't want to miss it. Maybe your doll wants to go ahead. Maybe the Muppet wants to say, okay, Dave's not going, let me go. I'm going to be Ross part 2. So you never know. But yes, this is essentially what we need people to learn on. There are so many things. You can go to YouTube, you can just watch a video, everything. It doesn't work. If things were so easy in life, I mean, like you in the Air Force, they would just ask people, just watch this half-an-hour video and yeah, just fly the F-35 for us. No, it doesn't happen that way. You need to talk to someone, you need to settle down, exchange thoughts, ideas, and then you learn. So thank you for this. And yeah, thank you, Saurabh, for arranging this. I'm sure me, like I'm a member of this club, and a lot of all of us will really appreciate it. And maybe months and years down the line, we're going to talk. You remember that Dave Ross session we had? This is what we learned. We were there when he came. And absolutely right. Like Kathleen mentioned in the beginning, all this is because of COVID. Once we had physical meetings, interactions would go down to zero. No one is going to catch a flight, travel across the world, sit for half an hour and come back. No, it's not going to work out. But I would say, let's grab this opportunity. COVID has brought the world a lot of problems, but it's also given us opportunities. These kind of online meetings is the time to interact and be, I think this is what Ralph Smedley really wanted, Toastmasters to interact. This is the time. Let's not lose it. So thank you for coming, sir. And I hope we invite you again more often and we get to hear. Truly, Saurabh, you should. This gentleman is a gem. He is, I would say, King Solomon's mines. So till we have access to him online, let's not lose this treasure. Over to you.
Sure, definitely. We would invite again and again you, and it would be indeed great pleasure if you come again and again to our club. Yeah. So now I would like to invite our Sergeant at Arms to end the meeting. Over to you, Toastmaster Vamsi.
Thank you, sir. Hope I am clearly audible and visible.
Yes.
Wow, it has been a fantastic meeting, and I congratulate everyone who attended today's meeting. You know what you want today? The treasure of what real Toastmasters is, the treasure of what real learnings are, the story behind why a Toastmaster system is built, and how a small things like a child pressing the alarm can become a great humor that you can love forever, recollecting those memories. Lot of things, all these, the great humorous speeches comes from small ideas, small events that happened in your life, in your real situations. You can think of it, some or other you will get. You didn't get it, ask your parents, they can tell you a lot of childish things that you have done so far. Definitely, I can assure you, everyone here will be a very good, amazing speaker, and mostly the humorous one. All the very best for the contestants and for the contests and Toastmaster events ahead. We are extremely grateful to all the officials and Toastmaster present here. Thank you. Now I bring the meeting to close.
Thank you so much. Now the meeting, you can unmute, and if you want to say something, you can say. I guess everyone can unmute themselves.
What an incredible event. Very well put together. Thank you so much. I really